to another midweek episode of That Made Your List, a weekly podcast where an average, ordinary film fan, me, lists my top 5 films in a specific genre or subject chosen from a choice of options chosen by the listener. The options this week, in honour of Ready Player One coming out, were either Steven Spielberg films or book to film adaptations. And because I think the people who took part in the poll want to see me squirm, or by the way, thank you very much those of you that took part and voted in the poll. I genuinely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. But because I think they wanted to see me squirm and struggle, they chose Spielberg films. So there we go. This week's subject is my top 5 Spielberg films. This is not easy. Not easy at all. I mean, it's 32 theatrically released films he's done. How do you trim that down to top 5? I mean, a lot of people recently, with Ready Player One coming out, a lot of people have been doing this is the top 10 Spielberg, and even that's tough, but yeah, I've got to go one step further. I've just got to do a top 5. So as I said, 32 is released. I had to trim it down some in my own head so I can get my head around what I'm doing. So I disqualified from the list, obviously, anything that I've not seen, because if I've not seen, I can't vote for it. So this is where you're probably going to end up shouting at your device that you're listening to. First one DQ'd, obviously, is Ready Player One, so it's just come out. I've not seen it yet. I'll get around to it in the next couple of days, probably within the week, definitely. The next is The Post. Again, not seen it yet. The first big one of his, probably, that we'll come to that I've not seen is Lincoln. I know for the Americans out there, obviously he's a very powerful historical figure for you guys. For us Brits, he's obviously he's important, but he doesn't resonate with us as much as he does over you. I'll get around to watching it at some point. It's just not got there yet. Another one for you to shout at me at, I've not seen Warhorse. My wife, when I told her that I'd not listened to it, absolutely went ballistic at me. How could you not? It's a great film. I'm sure it is a great film, and since I've started doing this podcast, there's a massive list of films that I need to watch. Warhorse is on there, Lincoln's on there. Another one I've not seen, I mentioned many a time on the podcast, is Schindler's List. I will get around to watching it, and I will get around to watching it pretty soon, I imagine. But yeah, it's not in my top 5 because I've not seen it. The Colour Purple, another one I've not seen, another one I know culturally significant, it's and all that, I've just not seen it. And the last one of his that I've not seen is Sugarland Express, the first theatrically released film that his. Obviously Duel was the big one that got his name out there, that was a TV movie. That's not in there either, in my list either. So yeah, so that got rid of 6-7 films. Great, down to 25. Brilliant. I also eliminated what I choose to be the bad ones. 1941, widely ranged to be his worst. Yeah, I think it just misses with everything it's tried. It was a mess. Not all of the jokes were funny. The Terminal, another one that's widely considered to be is not a very good one. And then Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which, as far as I'm concerned, could be stripped from history completely. I don't consider it. I like to think of the indie films as a trilogy. The Kingdom Skull never happened. Can we just say that? Can we all, as fans, just all agree that Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull didn't happen? That way, it's still a perfect trilogy. Yeah? Would all agree with that? Yeah? All in favour? Aye. Aye. Done. Passed. Sorted. So there's 3 out. So it still left me with a massive list to go for. I mean, I love the BFG. Obviously, Roald Dahl. The books were a massive part of growing up in the UK, and they still are. For my children have got the books and they read them still. Tintin was okay. It nearly made the bad list for me personally. But my honourable mentions, Minority Report. I love that. I love it. It's a great film. Philip K. Dick short story based on Only Just Missed. Munich with Eric Bana about the 72 Munich Olympics and the terrorist attack there, and then Israel's response to that. It's a fantastic film. I love the film. It just didn't quite make my top 5. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, again a groundbreaking film, iconic in its music and its visual effects of there. Only Just Missing Out. And then one that I'm probably going to get shouted at again, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Literally, it's so difficult making this top 5 that some great films missed out. I mean, Temple of Doom, not even in my honourable mentions. Amistad, it's not in my... Yeah, I could go on and on about the films that didn't make it. But that's my honourable mentions and the reasons why. So I'm down to 5 now. Down to 5 films from 32. That's not too bad. Out of that, I mean, the guy's 10 Best Picture nominations, 1 win. Only 1 win for Best Picture. That's shocking. From 32 film. Yeah, that was Schindler's List though. Again, not seen it, but there we go. 6 Best Director nominations with 2 wins. Yeah. He's good. Right, anyway, enough blabbing about. Here we go. Time to get you on the roll with this. In at number 5, 1975 monster movie, the original blockbuster, Jaws, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah, I mean, where do you start with this? An absolutely iconic film in so many ways, from Bruce the shark that cost $250,000 to make. They had 3 of them, one that was open from the left hand side when they were filming, one that was open from the right hand side, and one that was open from what I remember, from underneath, so they could get to different areas when filming. Yeah, obviously they tested it in water, but they didn't test it in salt water. And the salt water, once they got out to Martha's Vineyard when they did the filming, played havoc with the mechanics of it, and it sank the first time they put it out in open water. It was shocking, which is not too bad. With the reason they filmed at Martha's Vineyard for this place is because you could go out for miles and miles out there, and you're only 30 feet from a sandy bottom. Pardon the expression. So that's why. Although Bruce sank, we called it Bruce after his lawyer, I believe. Yeah, it only went down to 30 feet, so it was easy enough to get them back again. Obviously, it tells the story of Chief of Police Sheriff Martin Brodie, Roy Scheider, and his battle with a great white shark terrorising Amity Island over the 4th of July weekend and approaching that. I love the film. I love it now. It won 3 Oscars. Best sound, best editing, and best music. John Williams with the iconic sort of dun 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 dun. Yeah, anyway, you know how it goes. It was nominated for Best Picture as well. It was the first. Was it the first? Don't think it might have been the first. It might have been the first horror film to be nominated for Best Picture. It's only one of 5 that's been nominated for Best Picture. Oh God, what else was it? Exorcist, Silence of the Lambs, Sixth Sense, and Black Swan were the other 4. With I think Silence was the first one to actually win out of that lot. Yeah, John Williams, when he was conducting the orchestra, the Academy Orchestra, the year that he won the Oscar, and he had to run from his podium conducting the orchestra, go up, collect his Oscar, and then run back down again to carry on conducting for the rest of the film. It's 67 million people watched this in cinemas when it came out. 67 million people. Back then, it was literally, it invented blockbusters. They were queuing around the block to get it. Not like now, when it doesn't happen now because there's so many screens at each one. It's very rare that you'll have a sold out for a day. This just went on and on and on. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's not that scary anymore. There's probably only one or two jump scenes in it. Excuse me. But yeah, 5 Jaws. Yeah, come at me. Well, in 4, this is where I upset my wife again. In 4, 1982 sci-fi classic E.T. Yeah, I know. What are you going to do? There's 3 great ones above it. Started very, very young Drew Barrymore, telling the story, obviously, of a little gardening alien get left behind and his attempt to phone home. E.T. phone home. Yeah, tell bad impression there. Won 4 Oscars: Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound Effects, and John Williams again for another score. The written mostly during breaks in filming of Raiders. When it was test screened in Cannes, it was not an official film out there. It was just test screened out there. It received a standing ovation, which most films, by all accounts, that year did not. It actually, yeah, he knew he had something on his hands with it. I mean, I guess you connect so well with the film, with E.T. I always remember the scene when he dies and the flower and the plant just wilting. It chokes you up. You're really feeling it. But for me, that when he comes back to life, spoiler alert for a film that's God knows what is it, 36 years old. That when he came back and the joy and everything, that's where I cried. Hand up, I ain't afraid to admit it. I cried watching E.T. Not recently, when I was a kid, obviously. Yeah, honest. But when the star comes back, that's it. That's the part that hits you right there, and it's just the relief and the joy. It's, and then it steps up again. It goes from the almost a horror-ish start when you've got what's this thing in the undergrowth coming in there and they're screaming and he's screaming and the kids. Henry Thomas, who never really scaled the heights after this. I mean, there's been bits and bobs. He was in Legend of the Fall, in Gangs of New York, but only in small parts each time. But when Elliot first sees him there, and it's almost horror-ish start to it. It goes into a comedy when he's in the house and drinking beer, and Elliot's getting drunk at school, and they're dissecting the frogs and he's letting them all go. Oh God! Oh yeah, trivia fans. The young girl that stands on the chair at school when all the frogs are going around, Erica Eleniak. Won't mean a lot to anybody else, apart from she was the woman in Under Siege who bursts out topless from the birthday cake. Yeah? See, now you know who she is. That was her. Very, very, very early, obviously. But, yep. So you got the comedy with that, and then which goes into a heartwarming family story, but then once he comes back to life and they break him out of the nasty, horrible government, stereotypical with the beige suits and the sunglasses and the earpiece, goes and kicks into action gear with the chase with the cars versus the BMXs, and then his magic where he makes the bike fly, and then the iconic symbol of him above as it's captured in the moon's circle there before coming back down again. A fantastic film. And now apparently, according to George Lucas, he's in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, which is kind of weird because you see Elliot playing with Star Wars toys, as you would in 1982. Perfectly understandable. But then, during the Halloween walk, when they're all going out there and he's got a sheet over him, he sees a cosplay Yoda, and recognises him. And then the ET species is in Phantom Menace. Just a little split screen as you pan around the Senate. There's the ETs. Yeah. This for me, just finishing up with ET here. My opinion, the best standalone sci-fi film. Yeah. After I just said it's part of the Star Wars universe, but it is. It's the standalone. Never any sequel. Never any prequel. This for me is it's definitely up there in the conversation for the best standalone. Right. Moving on then. 3. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. 1989's trilogy closing. Yes, Kingdom of the trilogy closing, because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull does not count. Never happened. Remember, we voted on it. It brings back a lot of the original cast. Obviously, Harrison Ford's still in there. But after there was a lot of criticism of Temple of Doom being too dark and not the fun that was in Raiders, they brought back Dan O'Malley as Marcus Brody. Nearly forgot it. Marcus Brody? Not Marcus Brody. Oh my god. Brody, it's Martin Brody from Jaws, and oh Jesus, where is it? We brought Jonathan Rhys-Davies as Salah, and then oh my god, why am I blanking on what his name is? What on earth is his name in it? Oh my lord, it's embarrassing. I'm going with Marcus Brody. It's Marcus Brody. I'm doubting myself now. Marcus Brody. I'm going with it. Don't care. But yeah, I'll babble. But also adds then a fantastic Sean Connery as Indy's dad, Henry Jones Sr., because we called the dog Indiana. It does a wonderful job opening up when with River Phoenix appears as the young Indiana Jones, with a chase over the train and whatnot, and introduces how he got his scar on his lip with the whip first time out. Then we jump into the main story, obviously when Dad has gone missing in Venice, searching for the Holy Grail. Although, point in fact, Venice hasn't got any catacombs that apparently was hidden underneath St Mark's Square. No catacombs in Venice. They'd have all be underwater by now. Obviously then cue hijinks, witty banter, and even an appearance by Adolf Hitler signing the Grail Diary. In my opinion, it's the best indie film, and a rarity where the last in the trilogy, because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull does not exist. It's better than the prequels. It races along at a great pace. Again, it draws you in, makes you think of the when the picks up the Grail and he actually picks the right one. It's a carpenter's cup. It's the son of a carpenter, so yeah, that'll be the one. You think Dad's going to die and all this lot, and then the race out, leaving the Grail Knight there on his own. I really like him. It's 3, 1, 2 is the order of the indie films for me. Yeah, I mean I like Temple of Doom, but it's not indie. It's a prequel anyway. And prequels are never any good. That's another story anyway. Which takes us on to number 2. Top 2. Oh, I sat looking at these two and stared at them for about 10 minutes, weighing up in my head which one was going to win and which one was going to come second. Even now, I'm so close to changing my mind. It's almost impossible to do. We've got 1998. There we go. You know which one it is. Then World War II epic, Saving Private Ryan. It won Spielberg his second and so far last best director Oscar. Although he has won 4 of the Oscars. Oh no, he's not won 4 Oscars. The film won 4 of the Oscars and with 6 nominations as well. The cast, Tom Hanks is Captain Miller. The titular. I did that before. Yeah. Private Ryan, played by Matt Damon. I mean, it cast Damon because he wanted an unknown actor, which is really funny because in between filming and the film being released, he went and won an Oscar for Good Will Hunting, and so he was a massive star by the time the film came out. He was kind of scuppered that. Then you've got obviously Tom Sizemore, who was battling drug addiction during there, so he had tests every morning before filming, and Spielberg said that they've gone on record as saying if he ever failed one, he'd have been gone, even if it was in post-production. Edward Burns, who in my youth and for so long I genuinely thought that was Ben Affleck. Yeah. Vin Diesel in a really, really small, an early role for him. Giovanni Ribisi, they just mesh so well together. I mean, the cast, the cast were put through a boot camp by an actual World War II veteran. Well, all except Matt Damon, and they left him out because they wanted that kind of resentment that the team have for going so far deep into France to get this private out of here. So he was left out of the boot camp. The opening 20 minutes of this film are by far some of the hardest hitting war films you will ever see on film. I doubt it'll ever be topped. Genuinely, there was veterans in the screenings and beforehand that were having to walk out during filming. So it was during the screening, because it would just bring him back vile, horrible memories. And Spielberg went up to him outside and said, "Do you not like it?" No, it's brilliant. It's perfect. It's exactly how it was. We just can't watch it again. We lived it. We can't watch it. Yeah, I mean, as the film progresses, the stresses and the strains on the team, as they're going deeper and deeper into France, and they come across one Ryan, but it's the wrong one. Nathan Fillion playing Private Ryan, but it's the wrong one. Thinks it's him, and oh my god, my brothers are dead. My brothers are... Wait, what? Oh no, I'm from Minnesota. Not you got the wrong Private Ryan. Keep going, on we go, and it's coming across and sniping the bell tower. Yeah, and then obviously you get to the climactic scene where they finally get to Damon, and he refuses to leave his team until they've took this town and got this bridge so that the assault can continue. Now that battle never actually happened. It was completely made up for the film. It's such a it's a great film. It's my favourite war film by far. And the end bit where you got old Matt Damon standing there at the graveyard and says, "Tell me I was a good man. Tell me I've been right. I've done right." Brilliant. Which takes us to my number one of Steven Spielberg films. You nasty old bunch of listeners putting me through this. 1993. There we go. You know what it is. It's not Schindler's List because I've not seen it. It's 1993 sci-fi classic Jurassic Park, based on the Michael Crichton book of the same name. This was being edited while he was filming Schindler's List. I've told you this story many a time on other episodes now. He said he ended up hating the T-Rex because the yin and yang between the filming Schindler and editing to get the effect right. A perfect cast. Yeah, perfect cast with obviously Jeff Goldblum is Chaos, Doctor. I'm sure it's not proper title, but Ian Malcolm. I don't think he's ever been better in a film. Personally, he is the perfect guy as a Chaos. Just the water, the drop of water on her hand as it goes, as he's flirting with her, and then all of a sudden she gets out of the moving jeep, and there you go, Chaos. Who could have predicted that? It's perfectly. Yeah, Laura Dern is the colleague, partner, love interest of Sam Neill's paleontologist. It's a sci-fi action film where there's not an actual action star. I mean, the closest you get to an action hero is Bob Peck, who played Muldoon, and his previous biggest role was in Mark Hamill's Slipstream. It's supposed to be his big breakaway from Star Wars. It didn't do very well. Yeah, I love it. I mean, obviously it spawned what 2 other Jurassic Parks and a Jurassic World, and then another Jurassic World coming. None of them get anywhere close to the first one. The effects. I mean, I remember watching it early on in its release, very early on in its release. Might even have been opening night. At a Showcase cinema in Nottingham, where Alex at the time was living and working at Nottingham University. So we used to go up from Leicester to Nottingham, 25-minute drive to see her. What should we do? We'd go to the cinema, go to a pub, and then go back. And that was it. So we saw there were so many times we were going, we can't go to the cinema, we've seen everything that's on. So we just go to the pub instead. But I remember the only time I've ever had a standing ovation at a UK cinema was to that there. But it's fantastic. Back in '93, those graphics that you thought, like, okay, you didn't because you know you're at the cinema, but they look so real, and they still hold up now. The graphics still hold up now, really, really do. So yeah, there we go. My top 5. Number 1, Jurassic Park. Number 2, Saving Private Ryan. Number 3, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Number 4, E.T. Number 5, Jaws. Yeah, there we go. Done. My top 5 Spielberg films. Now you've probably been screaming your lungs out at me, so please get involved. Let me know where I've gone wrong. Let me know if I'm right. Okay? Twitter @thatmadeyour. Come on at me. We've had actually quite a bit of movement on that recently. We had a couple of followers on there. Jake Marangoni, who was this weekend's full episode person, he's now following on there. We've got Taylor Robinson, Schmodown's Taylor Robinson. She's going to be joining me soon. Steve Billings, who's on there, he's going to be joining me soon as well. Robert Parker, you're on the list. You'll be coming on, I promise you. But you're on there, so yeah, come on, follow us on there. Get involved. Have a word. Facebook, we've got the Facebook page That Made Your List. This is where you'll find the poll for each week's subject, as well as all the old episodes. Publish a post on there. Tell me you're on. Give me your top 5. Yeah, 5. I said 5. 10's too easy. Give me your top 5. Post it on there. Post it on Twitter. Post it on the Facebook page. Let's have a look. Let's have a conversation about it. I'd love that. Honestly, I love nothing more than talking films. You can email the pod. Okay, this is if you don't want it being publicly known about there, or if you want to apply to be on the main show, the email is thatmadeyourlist, all one word, @outlook.com. Please though, the main way you can help me is subscribe to Podbean, iTunes, rate, review and share. If you've enjoyed this, tell someone about it, tell someone new about it. Okay, shove it, put their earphones in there, listen to this guy wattle on. Yeah, look at him, he thinks that Jurassic Park's the best one. He's not even got Schindler's List. He's never even seen Schindler's List. Listen to him. Have a go at him. Yeah, tell someone. If everyone tells one person, then I can get more people, and I can get more people on there, and we get different people's opinions. Okay? Before we go, you may have noticed something different this week. I've actually got a musical intro. And a massive, massive, massive shout out to the Silver Fox, Shay Watson, for clipping his song. It's a song by Princip. I hope I've said that right, Shay. Called Merry Go Round. It's available on iTunes and Apple Music and downloads available. It's called Merry Go Round as a song. I mean, I really, really like it. Shay's kindly allowed me to use the first 10 seconds as the intro and the outro to the podcast, so it's not just bang straight into my voice. So again, massive, massive thank you to Shay Watson for that. I'll get you on there soon as well. The first proper actor who's appeared and stuff. You'll be on there soon. Okay, enough of me wattling on. I've been Dave Goodger, and I'll see you on the weekend for another episode of That Made Your List.